Welcome to Young Living Farms. My name is David Little. I'm the agronomist at Global Farms, and I'd like to take you on a tour today of the Mona Farm here at Young Living and be able to share with you some of the regenerative organic practices that we use at our farms. Right this way, we're at the Mona Farm greenhouse, and behind me are 150,000 green starts of Goldenrod. Where do these come from and why do we care? Well, let me show you. Have you ever wondered why it is that Young Living essential oils are the most effective of any essential oils on the market? It all starts right here. This is a bottle that we store our seed in, non-GMO, pure seed. Now, every plant has multiple species, and of those species, multiple subspecies. Young Living takes special care to study out the specific species and subspecies of plant that can provide the proper genetic expression of essential oils to have all of the constituents so that it's effective to work with our body and support natural wellness. In this jar, I have a little over 3 million goldenrod seeds. Those goldenrod seeds are then planted into trays like the ones behind me. And we're able to grow these little starts that then get transplanted into the field to produce the natural essential oils, pure and simple. Once those seeds come into our greenhouse and we study them and test them, they have to go through a rigorous testing process so that we can ensure that they're the proper genetics and can provide the proper genetic expression of essential oils. Walk with me this way into our other greenhouse. Behind me are about 250,000 lavender starts. These starts will be planted to the field, and here I have some lavender seed. Again, this is hand harvested from our own fields to ensure that we have just the right genetic expression of essential oils. When it's time to harvest for the production of essential oil, we save our best plants back and allow them to go to seed. And then we harvest that seed to bring it in and be able to plant our crop for the next year. I would like to take you with me into our industrial hemp licensed grow room where we're doing a trial on the genetic expression of CBD in our industrial hemp plants. Thank you for coming with me. This is our industrial hemp grow room. And in here you can see about 40 industrial hemp plants. And right now we're just entering the bud stage. You see right here. What I want to show you is at the very top of the plant, we have a lot of buds that are just starting to form. And in about 3 weeks, these plants will be in full flower, and we'll bring in the pollinator plants to set above and pollinate all of these plants. The reason that we have them in this intensive light controlled grow room is so that we can monitor the health and production of these plants very, very carefully and be able to ensure that when we harvest seed, that is done exactly right. These 40 plants will produce about enough seed so that we can plant 50 acres of industrial hemp next year from this seed lot. Each year we can produce about 4 different lots of seed in grow rooms like this. Now I want to, as we think about the production, we've talked about seed and seed genetics and the importance of having certified pure seed to grow and how we produce that seed. Now I'd like to take you over to our blue yarrow field where we'll be able to take a look at our soil and how we care for soil health using regenerative organic practices to be able to prepare that soil to receive the seed. Let's go there now. All right, thanks for going with me to the grow room. Let's jump on the buggy and head over to the blue yarrow field. While we're driving over to the Blue Yarrow field, I would like to share with you some fun facts about Young Living Farms. Right now, Young Living owns 9 corporate farms, and we also work together with 14 partner farms and numerous certified seed to seal suppliers that all follow our rigorous seed to seal standards. As part of the seed to seal standard, Young Living has a rigorous list of regenerative organic farming practices that we have to use at all of our farms. Now bear in mind that every farm is different. Right now we are at the farm in Mona, Utah. It's a very arid region, high elevation of 5,000 feet, and so only certain crops will grow well here. But then so here at Mona, we have a very specific set of insects and weeds that we have to deal with as pests. If we go to our farm in Ecuador, that's a tropical region. A lot more rainfall and moisture, very humid. So a very specific species and types of plants grow in Ecuador. Then we go to our farm in France, different climate, different environment. And then to our farm in Croatia and Tabiona and Canada and all over the world where we have our farms, very different climate, very different environment. And so with those different environments and climates, we have different insects, different weeds, different challenges at each farm. And so the regenerative organic practices that we use at each farm are very different, very specific to that farm and what its challenges are. We use regenerative organic practices including cover crops, organic fertilizers like compost and mulch, amendments of organic microbes. We also use beneficial insects like butterflies and praying mantises. And in Ecuador, it's a different set of insects that we use that are predatory insects on the insects that like to eat our plants. For weed control, we use weed burning and manual weeding. We also use inter-row cover crops. A lot of different regenerative organic practices. And we'll talk some more about those in a few minutes. But right now, we're just entering our Blue Yarrow field. And I want to share with you an experience that I had with Gary Young right here in this same Blue Yarrow field. About 3 years ago, when I studied as a farm manager under Gary Young, I had the honor and privilege to be his apprentice. And he would take me through the fields and teach me about the production of aromatic plants and why we have to use regenerative organic practices in order for those plants to reach their highest potential. So we'd be walking along during our stroll through the field, and away we go, and all of a sudden I would lose Gary, and next thing I knew, I would find him on his knees, and it would be right in the middle of a plant, smelling the plant, and he would study the soil around the plant, and the next thing I knew is he would dig up a plant. Now this is Blue Yarrow, and Blue Yarrow is a perennial crop, and it's a very shallow rooted crop. And I want to see what we find as we study these roots and study the soil. And Gary would pull it up, and as a farm manager, he would say, "What do you notice?" And so I ask you the same question, what do you notice? We have a lot of fine fibrous roots, which is an indication of good crop health. And we should have about as much root mass below ground as we have biomass above ground. All these fine fibrous, the smaller roots, are the feeder roots. They exude or kick out chelates and acids into the soil that release the nutrients the plant needs and brings it back into the plant. Let's see what else we can find here as we dig in the soil. One of the cool things that we'll find is all of the soil structure. Notice that the roots are woven down into the soil, and all of those clods and soil structure enable air and roots to grow down through the clods. And what we can't see are a myriad of microbiology, beneficial bacteria, amoebas, protozoa, nematodes, flatulates, all working together, and mycorrhizal fungi down in the soil. And what are they? They're the caretakers of the plant. We have a living soil with this microbiology. So how do we achieve that? How do we achieve a living soil? Well, it comes in two parts. The first part is that when we rotate our crops, we put on about 10 to 20 ton per acre of organic compost and mulch. Then we come behind that with a multi-species cover crop. 8 different species of plants, each with a specific purpose to fix nitrogen, to put organic matter back into the soil, to break up hard-packed soils with a deep rooting crop. And so each plant in that selection has its purpose. When we plow that cover crop under as a green manure, we're able to put back another 6 ton per acre of biomass, put back into the soil as a green manure. All of that organic carbon from the compost and the cover crop and the living roots in the soil provide the microbiology food and life to grow, someplace to live, something to eat. And then we also repopulate beneficial bacteria and mycorrhizal fungi, and we put those out into the field. And when we do that, they're able to break down that organic carbon and feed the plant in a form that the plant can use it, in the form of enzymes, amino acids, and proteins, instead of individual ions. And so what's great about organic farming is we're able to provide to the plant the food and nutrients that it needs in the form that it can use it in. So I want to take a minute and replant this plant. Bear with me. And I'd like to have you come with me over to our beehives. We talked a little bit about integrated pest management and the importance of using natural biological systems to manage our pests. Let's go there now. All right, one of the things about integrated pest management, here we are at our beehives, and here at the farm in Mona, we actually have 3 different locations throughout the farm where we place beehives. Bees are one of the numerous beneficial insects that we use, as they are able to help us with pollinating all of our crops, and it's just a wonderful thing. The bees, without bees, our lives would end as we know it. So we love bees. And one of the things, I don't want to get too close because I'm not suited up, but each of these bees know right where to go, and they'll cover a region of up to 3 miles to bring nectar back to their hive. On another occasion, hopefully we can get more into bees because they're very, very interesting. Also right here, what I have, I'm gonna have you walk with me out into the blue yarrow field again. As I want to release some of these beneficial insects. In this particular cup, what I have are the larvae and eggs of praying mantises. So in one of these little egg sacs, there are between 100 and 200 praying mantises. And all we have to do is to place these praying mantis egg sacs out into the crop. And as we nest the praying mantis nest down in the body of in between 2 plants, those praying mantises will hatch and raise up, and they eat the aphids and some small beetles and white flies, and make it so that the little bugs that chew on our leaves and eat our crop and harm the crop, it doesn't cure the problem 100%, but it keeps it in a manageable condition so that we can harvest a good healthy crop. Let me place one more praying mantis sac. I place it down deep in the plant like that to protect it in the cold environment at night. We're still in the springtime here, and so down in the body of the plant will protect it from predators so that those praying mantises can hatch and grow up. I also have right here a number of ladybugs, you guessed it. And as those ladybugs fly away, these ladybugs also are predatory insects. And instead of eating our plants, these ladybugs that are flying away, and they'll help protect our crop right here, again, from aphids and white flies and other soft body insects that chew on the leaves of our plants. So I'm going to go ahead and release the rest of these ladybugs right out in our row. And so all of these ladybugs that you can see right here getting ready to go, in time they'll take flight and they'll move to other areas in the crop, and eventually they'll spread out across the crop looking for aphids, white flies, other soft body insects, and help us to preserve a naturally healthy crop for the production of essential oils. At this point, I want to take you back over to our show row where we're doing some research on some additional regenerative organic practices. And as we head over there, we'll be able to take a look at some different cover crops, inner row cover crops, and other ways that we use livestock in regenerative organic practices. So let's head over there now. As we get ready to go over to our research row so I can show you some more regenerative organic practices, I want to run a little test. So far today we've been talking a little bit of farmer English. And so, ahora quiero hablar en español. Tal vez me entienden, tal vez no me entienden. Or what if I speak in Chinese? Ni hao ma, wo jiao li gawi, ni de dian wa hawa sedu xiao. If I speak in Chinese or English or Spanish, those languages don't understand one another. Moreover, some of the words in Spanish and some of the words in Chinese don't translate to English. My body, your body, does not speak synthetic. Okay, so as we talk about all of these organic, naturally sustainable farming practices, I want you to kind of connect the dots here. Why is that important? My body doesn't speak synthetic, your body doesn't speak synthetic. So when I rub some cream on my body or take some synthetic product internally, my body doesn't know how to use that. It's a foreign material. So some of it just passes out the back end when I go to the bathroom. Some of it gets hung up and causes side effects. And of course, my body's pretty amazing, and so it figures out how to use some of that to my benefit. Well, the same thing with the plant. The plant is not synthetic either. It's natural, it's biological. So I don't know who it was back in 1906 that discovered that they could manufacture synthetic nitrogen and synthetic fertilizer and put it on the crop. I'm going to put $50 worth of nitrogen on my field and get $100 of crop back. Oh, cha-ching, ching, it all became about money. But you're killing my soil. All of these chemicals that they're making and synthetic fertilizers to spray the weeds and the bugs and to put synthetic fertilizer on the soil, you're killing my microbiology. All those little microbes that are the caregivers to the plant, that feed the plant in the form the plant knows how to use it. Amino acids, enzymes, proteins, plant food in the form the plant knows how to use. So the plant doesn't have to create those building blocks. It can just go to work and grow and reach its highest potential. So right now we're just arriving at our research row. Right here, what I want to show you, I'm standing on the corner of a muddy field, but if we'll look down here, this is mustard caliente. So this spring we wanted to plant a cover crop that could help us to suppress weeds, to reduce disease-borne pathogens, and to be able to put organic matter back in the soil. Guess what? Mustard caliente has the ability to do all of that. So we planted this early spring, and in about 1 month's time, this will grow up, and this mustard caliente crop will be about waist high, 2 to 3 feet tall. When we plow that under as a green manure, and then immediately plow it into the ground and irrigate it to seal the soil, it releases a natural fumigant of a cyanide gas that is able to neutralize or sterilize the weed seed. So we get reduced weed growth. It also sterilizes pathogens, so we get reduced soil-borne pathogens and fungus and diseases in the soil. It also helps us to put back about 8 tons per acre of organic matter into the soil to feed our crops. This is an amazing thing and a big part of our regenerative organics. Walk with me this way as we come across the road to an inter-row cover crop. First of all, behind me you might see some sheep that are grazing on this inter-row cover crop. The sheep are used as part of our regenerative organic process, and when they eat the grass and the clover that's in our inter-row cover crop and poop it out the back end on the ground, here, walk with me for just a second. See what we notice right here. As a farmer, you might think, oh, as a general person, you might think, oh, poop. But guess what? As a farmer, I get pretty excited about this because the sheep, they eat the biomass, the organic matter, and it comes into their stomach. And inside their stomach, it joins with all of the microbiology, the microbes, the beneficial bacteria, the enzymes, and then they poop it out together with the organic matter, and it breaks down and feeds the plant. So these sheep are much more than just mowing the grass. They're fertilizing weed eaters. So they come through and they weed our lavender. They're not particular, they don't particularly like the lavender, so they leave it alone. And many of our aromatic plants are not favorable to the sheep as a palatable forage. And so they leave our aromatic plants alone and they eat the weeds, the inter-row cover crops, and leave the bacteria inoculated organic matter as a very powerful fertilizer in our fields. Very cool. So right here behind me, the study we're doing is on more efficient irrigation systems. Drip irrigation on lavender with a permanent weed barrier that can keep back the weeds, enable us to grow a pure, healthy crop. When it's time to harvest this lavender, we then come through and mow the grass and clover, and then we can harvest only the lavender that gets distilled in our distillery. As we talk about regenerative organics and all of the things that we do, you might wonder, why is it that we do this? Why does it matter? I want to share one more Gary experience with you. I had been here at the Young Living Farm for about 3 months when Gary and I rode back to the farm in the evening. And as we were riding back to the farm, I was just contemplating how big Young Living is. The fact that we're worldwide and how big of an empire Gary had built. And I commented to Gary, I said, Gary, this is amazing, this empire that you've built with Young Living. And he just shook his head. And he said, David, it's not about the empire. It's about the one. Everything that we do at Young Living is about people. It's about creating an opportunity for one mom or one son, one daughter to be able to have more quality time together because we're able to provide them with nature's living energy essential oils. You see, at Young Living, our vision is a healthy home for each of us and a healthy world for all of us. And that was Gary's vision. And that's why we go to the lengths that we go to provide regenerative organic farming practices that can produce therapeutic grade essential oils, that can relieve a little bit of stress, that can help my natural wellness. Now, I'm not saying the essential oils are going to cure all the diseases of mankind. It's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that I have the ability naturally to support my body's functions so that it can be as well as it can be naturally. And that's why we do what we do here at Young Living. Thank you.